The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Healthcare, in my view, is a human right. And we have got to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system.
Finishing the work we started with Obamacare and creating a public option that every family and every person in America can make a choice.
Bottom line is, if we don't clearly define that we are not socialists, the Republicans are going to come at us every way they can and call us socialists.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Yeah. All right.
Joe Biden was right when he said it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans 32 years ago. He's still right today. If we're going to solve the issues of automation, pass the torch.
I'm still holding on to that torch.
As the youngest guy on the stage, I feel like I probably ought to contribute.
It's part of Joe's generation.
Pass the torch to the generation that's going to feel the effects of climate change.
Somebody has a younger body doesn't mean you don't have old ideas.
It was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. You know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
It's a mischaracterization of my position across the board. I did not praise racist. That is not true. Number one. Number two, if we want to have this campaign litigated on who supports civil rights and whether I did or not, I'm happy to do that.
Governor, you're right. It is kidnapping, and it's extremely important for us to realize that. If you forcibly take a child from their parents' arms, you're kidnapping them.
We should not be locking people up. We should be making sure we change the circumstance, as we did, why they would leave in the first place.
I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers.
One of the worst things about President Trump.
This president, though.
President Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
We have a president who doesn't believe in the rule of law.
Trump is a phony.
He doesn't believe in freedom of the press.
Trump is a pathological liar and a racist.
He doesn't believe in independent judiciary.
He's torn apart the moral fabric of who we are.
There's nothing he will not do.
Woo! That was fun! That was so fun. That was so fun. My chakras are even aligned now. That was so fun. Did you like that? Did you like it? Did you like it? Tell me. Tell me if you liked it. It's Friday, you bastards. You call in and tell me if you liked it. I will say, there is a lot to talk about. I just want my $1,000 check, though. I want that check. Give me that check, Andrew. Wow. What did he get? 2 minutes and 38 seconds. I know. I timed it. 2 minutes and 38 seconds for Andrew Yang. So I tell you what, we learned this much last night. If during a debate, somebody begins their comment with, I don't believe you're a racist, you're getting socked in the face, and it's going to land, and it's going to knock your teeth out. And woo, that was a precision-guided missile right to Joe Biden. Kamala Harris really stood out last night. I will say, listen, this was very exciting. Bernie was Bernie, which is great. It's great. I do get the feeling that there are better Bernies. That's the only thing. I just got the feeling that there were some Bernies up there that were better Bernies. Bernie did it well, but there were Bernies that were doing it even, more well. But I have to say, the idea that Bernie moved us to the point where we're actually devoting the whole almost first hour of a 2-hour debate to healthcare. Thank you, Bernie Sanders. Thank you. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, now we're literally arguing, how to deploy Medicare for all. That's where we are now. It is an amazing thing, because back during the 2016, back during that primary, okay, over there, that one over there, we didn't have We didn't have any agreement that Obama made a mistake by not including a public option in Obamacare. Just saying, you know, I mean, the progressive part of this party, the people like me, the people like perhaps you who tune into progressive radio, who tune into progressive voices, who tune into this show and have been for, you know, a decade or more. You guys know that we have been explaining and arguing the for-profit healthcare system does not deliver healthcare. It delivers profits to their CEOs and shareholders, and it bilks every American. And I mean, last night there was a real discussion about this issue that is so long, it's so long overdue. And the only difference is how do we deploy it? Do we, do a public option and then, ask people if they would rather pay $2,000 a month in premiums like I do for a policy that has a $6,000 deductible, meaning I don't see benefit one until I pay yet another $6,000. And, they keep trying to, Bernie, so people's taxes are going to go up. People, you know what? You do the math. I pay $2,000 a month for a policy that has a $6,000 deductible. So you add it up, okay? $24,000 in premiums and then another $6,000 just to use the policy. It's $30,000 out of pocket. If Bernie wants to raise my taxes by $2,000 or $3,000 a year to save me $24,000, $25,000, $26,000, $27,000 a year, who wouldn't take that deal? But you see, they're going to frame it. The people who are making profits off of taking our premiums and not delivering the health care and just turning their backs on us over and over again, going, well, that's not covered, or that's not out of pocket, or that you haven't reached your deductible, or this guy, when you go see him, swipe your card because he wants a $50 copay. Does that apply to my deductible? No. Why? Because he's a specialist. Aren't they all? Aren't they all specialists except for the primary care guy who now practices concierge medicine? Seriously, dude. I mean, it's just so unbelievable. So, I mean, I was so happy. Now, this group were the better polling group than the first group. So Elizabeth Warren had a clear path to victory on night one, and she totally did it. She did everything that she needed to do to show everybody she is ready for prime time. She is a serious candidate. She's got serious ideas. She understands the corporate involvement in the corruption that is America. She understands the donors. She understands the lobbyists. She understands the system. And she understands where you target and how you break it up. So that the government now serves the American people, so that the government doesn't answer to the donors, the government doesn't answer to the money, it answers to the people. Now, we're going to have a tough time when it comes to local elections. We're going to have a tough time in the states, man. The state legislatures are going to get even more, depending where you are, they're going to get even more red or they're going to get even more blue because of that gerrymander decision yesterday. That was, as they say in Hebrew, that was a shanda. That's a really strong word for a sin. That was just disgraceful. How could he possibly, John Roberts, argue? How could he have argued that Citizens United had to be upheld because free speech, money is speech, corporations are people, but then say we don't have a First Amendment right to be heard when we vote, that the parties in power in the state legislatures, they get to choose the maps for us and they have no role to play? Holy crap, man. This makes the urgency of voting in your state before this, redistricting happens after the 2020 census, a moral imperative. You have got to get out and vote for governors and state legislators all over this country if you want to be heard.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Please, we will let you all speak. Senator Harris.
We can't afford to wait for evolution on these issues.
Hey, guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table. Yes? part of the issue that is at play in America today, and we've all been traveling around the country, I certainly have, I'm meeting people who are working 2 and 3 jobs. You know, this president walks around talking about and flouting his great economy, right? My great economy, my great economy. You ask him, well, how are you measuring this greatness of this economy of yours? And he talks about the stock market. Well, that's fine if you own stocks. So many families in America do not. You ask them, how are you measuring the greatness of this economy of yours? And they point to the jobless numbers and the unemployment numbers. Well, yeah, people in America are working. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. So when we talk about jobs, let's be really clear. In our America, no one should have to work more than 1 job to have a roof over their head and food on the table.
Conservatism is a racket.
It is. And they did such a good job last night of exploiting the racket that is conservatism and showing the corruption. Elizabeth Warren, night 1, they concentrated on corruption. 2, they concentrated on how people are paying to grease their way into congressional offices, into the Senate offices, how the lobbyists promise jobs to the staffers, and then how on the back end, those people go to the lobby shops and they just do it all over again, or senators leave and they go to the lobby shop and they take their staff with them. I mean, and the donor class and how everything is done for them. And this is why the tax cut had to be passed. The tax cut had to be passed so that the donors could get their freaking money. There was so much to this debate last night. And yes, I get that Kamala Harris was amazing when she confronted Joe Biden. Look, Beto, I don't know. I think he was very high. I just do. I think Beto is a stoner. I think he was like really, not lucid. I think he, so he lost night 1 to the crystal clarified, clear like a bell voice of Elizabeth Warren, who is very, very intellectual and concentrated and focused on the jobs at hand that need to be accomplished on the at the behest of the American people. Yeah, no question. So Beto lost, but I got to say Biden lost last night. Biden just totally lost. And she was not, look, she killed him with kindness. There's no question she killed him with kindness. When you start your sentence with, well, I don't think you're a racist, but something's coming. Right. We get that. That was an unbelievable moment. It is the one that most people will remember from last night. But I have to say that Biden did it to himself. Biden tried to chime in on healthcare. Biden tried to chime in on a couple of things. I mean, the little girl was me. And then, he responded to that. And he just kept saying, my time is up. I mean, he just kept losing his train of thought. And this is not a comment on his actual chronological age. I played you the last surviving Nuremberg prosecutor. Okay, that man is 99 years old and his brain is tight. His brain is perfect. There's lots of people like that. Justice Kennedy. No, is it Justice? Yes. Is it Justice Kennedy? No. Who's the 99-year-old one? Not Kennedy. No, not Kennedy. I always forget who he is. Anyway, he still shows up for interviews. And, he's 99 years old too. And he's lucid and he's, sharp as a tack. Okay. Biden, for some reason, Biden is 76 years old, and Biden is, his mind is not as sharp as it used to be, and it would be wrong. See, now Bernie's older than Biden, and Bernie's still together. He's still got it together. He still understands his issues. He has never changed his issues. Bernie has been fighting this fight for the ordinary people, for the middle class, for human rights in this country since the beginning of his political experience, since he was mayor of Burlington, Vermont. Okay, Bernie has always been Bernie, always true to his issues, never flip-flopping, never waffling, never anything. Biden, on the other hand, has so much to explain that his mind needs to be twice as sharp as it used to be in order for him to fix the stuff he did wrong. Now, I will say, if you spend 50 years in politics, and you don't take some votes that are hurtful to somebody, then you haven't done anything. So this is why some people used to call me up when, in the last round, the last 2016, and say, well, Bernie's worse on guns than Hillary is. Yeah, right. That's true. That's true. She's better on guns. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. But listen, it's going to take a lot more than what happened last night to knock Biden out of the top spot. The scary part for Joe Biden, and his campaign knows it, is there is a lot more. There is a lot more. Now, I'm going to play you Joe Biden doing it to himself before we show you anything.
I believe at the show of hands, you did not raise your hand. Did you raise your hand?
No, I did.
Okay, sorry. So you said they would be covered under your plan, which is different than Obamacare.
Yes, but here's the thing.
Can you explain that change?
Yes. You cannot let, as the mayor said, you cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered. You can't do that. It's just going to be taken care of, period. You have to. It's a humane thing to do. But here's the deal. The deal is that he's right about three things. Number one, they, in fact, contribute to the well-being of the country, but they also, for example, they've increased the lifespan of Social Security because they have a job, they're paying a Social Security tax. That's what they're doing. It's increased the lifespan. They would do the same thing in terms of reducing the overall cost of health care by them being able to be treated and not wait till they're in extremis. The other thing is, folks, look, we can deal with these insurance companies. We can deal with the insurance companies by, number one, putting insurance executives in jail for their misleading advertising, what they're doing on opioids, what they're doing paying doctors to prescribe. We could be doing this by making sure everyone who is on Medicare, that the government should be able to negotiate the price for whatever the drug costs are. We can do this by making sure that we're in a position that we, in fact, allow people. Time's up.
He lost his train of thought. My time's up. I mean, I know that happens. It happens, but it happened over and over and over again last night, and it happened on very important issues. It happened on healthcare right there. And the question was whether or not people who were here without documentation in this country would be covered under a Medicare for All plan. And the answer is clearly yes, because if you don't cover everybody, and you got people that, have the mumps or the chickenpox, or people who are, being treated really badly in these, and there's cholera or there's a flu epidemic and they can't, it's just stupid. And of course they will go to the emergency room and you will pay for them one way or not. But he lost his train of thought right there. Okay. And then the other important issue, when Kamala Harris actually called him out and said, I'm not saying you're a racist, he got a chance to respond. And let me tell you something. He fell apart and he lost his train of thought there too. And he gave up his time. He gave up his time because he went blank. It is our job to screen each and everybody for this awesome, powerful job and not have another Trump.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
I do not believe that the average American is a racist, but the average American is woefully undereducated about the history of race in the United States.
Ms. Williamson, thank you very much.
Vice President Biden, we're going to get to you. Hang on, we're going to get to
stage. I would like to speak on the issue of race.
Senator Harris,
what I will say is that
if I could preface this, we will give you 30 seconds since we're going to come back to you on this again in just a moment. Go for 30 seconds.
Okay. So on the issue of race, I couldn't agree more that this is an issue that is still not being talked about truthfully and honestly. There is not a black man I know, be he a relative, a friend, or a coworker, who has not been the subject of some form of profiling or discrimination. Growing up, my sister and I had to deal with the neighbor who told us her parents couldn't play with us because we were black. And I will say also that in this campaign, we have also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist.
Uh-oh.
And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. Mm-hmm. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Senator Harris, thank you.
Wow. All right. So I want to play you now Joe Biden's response. And here is another. This is another illustrative example of Joe Biden losing his train of thought on probably the most consequential moment in this debate. There is just no question that he screwed this completely up on every level.
Vice President Biden.
It's a mischaracterization of my position across the board. I did not praise racist. That is not true. Number one. Number two, if we want to have this campaign litigated on who supports civil rights and whether I did or not, I'm happy to do that. I was a public defender. I didn't become a prosecutor. I came out and I left a good law firm to become a public defender when in fact my city was in flames because of the assassination of Dr. King. Number one. Number two, as the Vice President of the United States, I work with a man who, in fact, we worked very hard to see to it we dealt with these issues in a major, major way. The fact is that in terms of busing, the busing, you would have been able to go to school the same exact way because it was a local decision made by your city council. That's fine. That's one of the things I argued for, that we should be breaking down these lines. But so the bottom line here is, look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
I have supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran for the
Biden, 30 seconds, because I want to bring other people into this.
I supported the ERA from the very beginning. I'm the guy that extended the Voting Rights Act for 25 years. We got to the place where we got 98 out of 98 votes in the United States Senate doing it. I've also argued very strongly that we, in fact, deal with the notion of denying people access to the ballot box. I agree that everybody, once they, in fact, they should. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I have news for you. This anti-busing legislation, there are letters, that have been written back and forth between Joe Biden and these two segregationist senators. And one of those letters actually is dated 1977. So this was way, way, way after the fact of ending segregation. And he thanked one of these segregationists for their help in his anti-busing legislation. That's how I knew to tell you that when Joe Biden said the other day that what he was discussing with these segregationist senators from the South, from Eastland, from Mississippi, that the ones that were very proud segregate, I was able to tell you that Joe Biden was mischaracterizing what they were legislating on. It was not the Voting Rights Act, which is what Joe Biden claimed it was. It was busing, school busing. And the reason that they needed to have locals enforcing desegregation was because the federal government wouldn't. The federal government would not. And places like Mississippi and Alabama, places like Alabama that still, did you hear that story about that woman that was shot in the belly? She was pregnant and she was shot in the stomach. And instead of prosecuting the shooter who shot a 5-month pregnant woman in the stomach, they prosecuted the 5-month pregnant woman who was unarmed for allowing her fetus to be killed. They said she didn't show enough concern for the fetus. She got into some sort of an argument in a convenience store, and it led to her being shot, and the baby died, and so she must be prosecuted for the death of the baby. So Alabama obviously needs federal intervention. Mississippi needed federal intervention. Louisiana needed federal intervention. On and on and on it goes. Delaware needed federal intervention. And Joe Biden fought against busing, anti-busing legislation at the federal level. He actually says that there. Oh, I was against the Board of Education deciding that busing should be the law of the land. I told you those stories about when I was growing up and busing. That's how we desegregated schools.
Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
All right, here's the first time Joe Biden was asked about his reach around to segregationists, and he did not tell the truth. He said that they were discussing voting rights.
I could not have disagreed with Jim Eastland more. And he was a segregationist. I ran for the United States Senate because I disagreed with the views of the segregationists. There were many of them in the Senate at the time. As I led the Judiciary Committee, I was able to pass, what I was talking about was the Voting Rights Act.
No.
I was able to pass the Voting Rights Act when I was a young senator, when he was still the chairman. We voted against him and beat him in the Voting Rights Act.
No, it was busing. It was anti-busing legislation. And this went on for many years, anti-busing sentiment. And as late as 1977, Joe Biden was still writing letters to Eastland, thanking him for his help on anti-busing legislation. That's a problem. We knew it was a problem. We didn't know how he was going to respond, but he decided that when he was confronted with the fact that it would, and she could have been more brutal. She could have said, but you said it was the Voting Rights. It was not the Voting Rights. It was anti-busing legislation. But she didn't. She said, I want you to know I don't think that you are a racist. And when someone starts a sentence like that, you know you're going under the bus. And the bus says Kamala 2020 on it. That's what happened last night. And he's flummoxed. And maybe this is why they keep hiding him. Because Joe Biden doesn't do very many town halls. I don't think he does any. He doesn't do, he fundraises. That's what he does. He didn't do the spin room. He stayed on the stage. He tried to pretend that he had people there in the audience to talk. I mean, it was very bizarre. I got to say, it was very bizarre. And, like I said, there are 99-year-olds that are really sharp. Look, my mom's 88 years old. She's hysterical and she's sharp as a tack. My mom has no problems with memory. My mother has no problem. She's 88 years old. Bernie is older than Biden and he's sharp. Biden, something is going on there, and it would be a dereliction of our duty to not point that out. And like I said, Eric Swalwell, he was, you said when you went to 1972 and you were pass the torch. And he's, I'm holding on to that torch. And then Kamala burned him with the torch. That's what happened there. Okay. And it's our job to point that out. It's our job to show you there are better candidates. There just are. Rhonda and Erie. Oh, Rhonda.
I was so embarrassed. Let me tell you how political events usually go in my house. My spouse and daughter usually just leave me alone. But last night, my husband was watching with me. And when that when Kamala went down that road, you know how when somebody does something that's embarrassing, you cringe and your shoulders go up and you get secondhand embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what happened to us. I mean, we were we were kind of holding each other and we turned away from the screen so we wouldn't see it, but we were listening and we just kept saying, "Oh, this is so bad. Oh, this is." Before Joe Biden even said he was going to run, when people were putting his name out there, I kept saying to him, I hope he doesn't run. I hope he doesn't run. He kept asking me, well, why not? And this is why. Because he's got so much stuff in his past that is not easily explained away. In fact, I don't think you can explain it away even in a difficult way. He's just got too much baggage, and I felt like he should have just gracefully walked off the stage into retirement where we could think about him fondly as the guy who, helped the first black president, and we could forget about Anita Hill and busing, and all of these other things that he's done that most people didn't know about until now. Right? Most people could think of him positively, but I think a lot of people can't now. I think there's going to be an asterisk next to his name for a lot of people now. Not Joe Biden is a good guy. Well, Joe Biden is a good guy, and I don't think he's a racist, but look at all these things he did. I wish he had not done it.
Well, look, again, Joe Biden has a decent record on civil rights. There's no question about that.
He does.
He does, but it isn't good enough for today. And he can't explain away, one of the things he could have said last night, believe me, was, hey, listen, when you've been legislating and shepherding legislation for 50 years, if you didn't piss somebody off, you weren't doing your job. But he is in complete and utter denial about his support for anti-busing legislation, about his neglect that Anita Hill had three other women who could have backed up her story and he refused to call them, that Obama deported 3 million people, that, look, that he does, he was, even on guns, the man was bad. He was, trying to say, well, I got assault weapons off the street. Good. That's right. You did. It was that crime bill. 1994, they got a 10-year ban on assault weapons. And he was saying, I'm the only one that ever took on the NRA, but the NRA is not our enemy. Gun manufacturers are. And that, to me, showed his mind is tired because the NRA represents the gun manufacturers. It is the manufacturing lobby shop. So it's just weird. It was weird to watch.
I don't think his mind is tired.
I do.
Honestly, I think he's arrogant.
Oh.
You know how when you feel like, and people have told you that you've lived this exemplary life, even though you've made some major mistakes in it, you've got swagger and you don't need to explain yourself or apologize for anything. The fact that he could not say directly to Anita Hill, I am sorry.
Right.
For my role in what you did, that's the first major flag that anybody should have had about him. How the hell can you look back on this now and not say, I am sorry?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the busing. You're going to minutia your way out of that? No, you can't do that. You know why? Because we've got lots and lots of history, reams of paper and documentation on our side. And you can't even say, you know what? I made a mistake. He's not having any old people issues. He's having arrogance, and he's fucking pissed that we are calling him on his stuff.
Yeah. Well, this was the pragmatic choice, so people said. I had to dump you, Rhonda, because we're on the radio now. You can't curse anymore. So, but I don't know. It just struck me as a little rusty, or like the whole idea that they're keeping him out of the public limelight, that they're not allowing him to attend town halls, that he skipped Iowa, that he skipped a whole bunch of, he'll have another chance. I mean, the second debate is coming. The second debate is in July. It'll be July 30th and 31st. And that will be in Detroit, and he will have another chance to get on that debate stage. And no, he's not going to crawl under a rock. And the sad news for him is that there's plenty more where that came from last night. There's plenty more compromising that Joe Biden has done over the years. And if he can't learn to explain, then this is, you can't just, I get this feeling from him. My feeling is that he's using, so this is really gross. I'm warning you right now. This is really gross, but this is kind of what I think. Okay. He's using this, I have a black friend excuse because he was Barack Obama's vice president. I know that's rough. I know it is, but he needs to apologize. He needs to apologize and tell the truth that he wasn't working on the Voting Rights Act, that he was working on anti-busing legislation, that he knows the difference between the lobby shop that is the NRA and the Parkland students. It was just so, just bad. It was just bad. And he did it to himself. Andy in Minnesota. Andy.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I was going to say, when Biden, he kind of was calling, announcing. I think
I can't. You're breaking up really, really bad.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry. How'd that happen? Huh? He walked away from when you were talking. Andy, go back to where you were when you were talking to Scotty, and then don't move. Because you were breaking up so bad, we couldn't, we were hearing like every third word. Every other word I can kind of hang in there with you, but every third word I can't do it. Anyway, there's still a lot more. There's a lot more. Pete Buttigieg, did you see him last night? He's like a ninja debater. Now, see, this is a very good example. The next cut that we'll play after the news, after the top of the hour, is Pete Buttigieg taking complete blame for the death of a black man in his city at the hands of a white police officer. Now, that's ninja debating. That's super. And then, you had Hickenlooper did okay. You had a whole bunch of good stuff there.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
Hey! It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The police force in South Bend is now 6% black in a city that is 26% black. Why has that not improved over your 2 terms as mayor?
Because I couldn't get it done. My community is in anguish right now because of an officer-involved shooting. A black man, Eric Logan, killed by a white officer. And I'm not allowed to take sides until the investigation comes back. The officer said he was attacked with a knife, but he didn't have his body camera on. It's a mess, and we're hurting. And I could walk you through all of the things that we have done as a community, all of the steps that we took from bias training to de-escalation, but it didn't save the life of Eric Logan. And when I look into his mother's eyes, I have to face the fact that nothing that I say will bring him back. This is an issue that is facing our community and so many communities around the country. And until we move policing out from the shadow of systemic racism, whatever this particular incident teaches us, we will be left with the bigger problem of the fact that there's a wall of mistrust put up one racist act at a time, not just from what's happened in the past, but from what's happening around the country in the present. It threatens the well-being of every community. And I am determined to bring about a day when a white person driving a vehicle and a black person driving a vehicle, when they see a police officer approaching, feels the exact same thing, a feeling not of fear, but of safety. I am determined to bring that day about.
So that's kind of what you would expect a polished politician like Joe Biden to have said. He could have said, you should, I made mistakes. I compromised on issues of race. Could have said that. See, because this is what happens when you compromise on basic human dignity. This is what happens when you compromise on basic human rights. that it just is the gift that keeps on giving. Why do we have police officers that are ate up with racism? Why do we have that? Because we've compromised the discussion and the institutionalization of racism, and Joe Biden was part of that. He was part of that, and he won't admit that he was part of that. And if he did admit it last night, it might have been a better tack than saying, I have this great record on civil rights and, I'm sorry, but there are issues, and this is why progressives are progressives, because we understand that you don't compromise on issues of dignity, on issues of race, on issues about health care, and that it is a basic human right. That's why, you ever notice when you write somebody a birthday card, you always wish them another year of health and happiness? Yeah, because, without health, there is no chance at happiness. It is a basic human right. Political dollars, money being shoved into politics. That's what makes it impossible for people to not compromise on issues of healthcare, on issues of institutionalized racism. And that is why we still have this problem about the way we treat the most vulnerable humans on this planet, children, in our custody. That's why progressives are correct. No matter what kind of swill and fear and hate the other side is trying to sell you, or, and that stuff sells because, in the end, don't you think that living life is all about conquering your fear? Don't you think that that's the purpose? Is to conquer your fear so that maybe in your next life or when you go to be an angel or wherever you think you go, you will be fearless, which is a gift. But I'm telling you, once you compromise on issues of basic human dignity, integrity, things that are so vital, you don't get a good result. It's garbage in, garbage out. And, listen, that's why it was interesting and it was nice to hear him doing the ninja thing, which is to say, I got it wrong. But I got to say, he's been an executive. And here's what we didn't know about Pete Buttigieg. A, how to spell his last name or pronounce it. And B, that he's been mayor for 2 terms. So he is the executive. And if he couldn't get it done as the executive, what makes you think he's going to be able to get it done as the executive of the United States of America? Maybe because he's humbled by the experience. That could be a good explanation for why you think he'll do better. But I have to say, if looks could kill, Swalwell, I got to say this. Swalwell, he's a congressman. He should be a congressman. Maybe he should just be nothing but a congressman for a few more years because he comes off. And remember, we're right on all the issues. We are correct on human dignity. We are correct on morality. We are correct on, respecting, the most vulnerable people as being the most vulnerable and taking good care. If we're going to keep them in our custody, right? Which is a whole separate conversation. The if. But Swalwell, for some reason, and this is, again, this is my opinion, if you want to chime in, by all means, Swalwell seems to me, even though he's on the right side of things, to be very smarmy. He seems to me to be very insincere. And that's hard to do when the issues and the truth is on your side. And you got to look at this. I mean, this was just unbelievable.
I think that the question they're asking in South Bend, I think in cities across the country, is why has it taken so long? We had a shooting when I first became mayor 10 years before Ferguson, and the community came together and we created an Office of the Independent Monitor, a Civilian Oversight Commission. We diversified the police force in 2 years. We actually did de-escalation training. I think the real question that America should be asking is why 5 years after Ferguson, every city doesn't have this level of police accountability.
Governor Hickenlooper, thank you.
I've got to respond to that. Look, we've taken so many steps toward police accountability that the FOP just denounced me for too much accountability. We're obviously not there yet. And I accept responsibility for that because I'm in charge.
Policy, you should fire the chief.
So under Indiana law, this will be investigated, and there will be accountability for the officer involved.
But you're the mayor. You should fire the chief if that's the policy and someone died.
All of these issues are extreme.
Look at that. If looks could kill. Look at that look on Buttigieg's face. Oh, my God. If looks could kill, Swalwell would have, just spontaneously combusted on that stage. And that was a smarmy shot, and there was no reason for him to do it. You know why? Because at least Buttigieg is admitting that as an executive, he failed, which is great for us to know. Now, make what you want of it and put it in your permanent Rolodex when you're voting in the primary. But that was a much more, the words like integrous, right? That is an answer that had much more integrity, much more self-awareness than we got from Biden's answers on things that he had done. So, and I will say Buttigieg scored pretty big time on the immigration issue in this way, okay? He talked about family separation in a way that was very unique to his experience.
The Republican Party likes to cloak itself in the language of religion. Now, our party doesn't talk about that as much, largely for a very good reason, which was we are committed to the separation of church and state, right. And we stand for people of any religion and people of no religion. But we should call out hypocrisy when we see it. And for a party that associates itself with Christianity, to say that it is okay to suggest that God would smile on the division of families at the hands of federal agents, that God would condone putting children in cages, has lost all claim to ever use religious language again.
Vice President.
Well said, Mayor Pete. See, he has some qualities that are really valuable on this stage, in this arena. Very valuable.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Senator Harris, last month, more than 130,000 migrants were apprehended at the southern border. Many of them are being detained, including small children, in private detention centers in Florida and throughout our country. Most of the candidates on this stage say the conditions at these facilities are abhorrent. On January 20th, 2021, if you are president, what specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents and for veterans, who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country and fought for our democracy. I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers. And I will ensure that this microphone that the President of the United States holds in her hand is used in a way that is about reflecting the values of our country, and not about locking children up, separating them from their parents. And I have to just say that we have to think about this issue in terms of real people. A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, facing unknown peril, to come here. Why would that mother do that? I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
I'm telling you, immigration is going to be huge. It'll be right up there with healthcare. And Donald Trump was very busy tweeting last night that we want open borders. So in Donald Trump's world, you either torture children by leaving the lights on all night, not feeding them, not giving them soap, letting young girls who have, premature babies, have breast milk all over their T-shirts. You don't give diapers. You steal people's clothing. You torture them. You basically torture them. or you're for open borders. That's not the choice. That is a completely false choice. And now Donald Trump today, it's in the newspapers. Donald Trump today is threatening, and this is why she brought it up last night, to deport veterans who are currently serving, who are currently deployed. Donald Trump wants to get rid of what we call the parole in place program, which is for a non-documented person who joins our military and is deployed. They then guarantee that their family will not be deported while that soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine is deployed. And now Donald Trump wants to rescind that program and deport veterans. He wants to expunge them from the military and deport the whole family out of the country, even after they have served our democracy. I mean, it's so unbelievable. So the Trump administration has not confirmed that this is the plan. However, I have to tell you that immigration attorneys, they say that the parole in place, which grants family members a reprieve from deportation while their sons and daughters serve in the military, that it's going to be terminated. It's going to be terminated. And also, I want you to know that before the Trump administration cracked down, the military could provide a path to citizenship. Serving in the military was a path you could get on in order to earn citizenship. And then Trump came along. See, before Trump, non-citizen military recruits could apply for naturalization after serving in the military one day, just one day. Trump said they have to serve 180 days unless they're in a combat zone. And he's also dismantling even that particular pathway to citizenship. Now, W actually called it military accessions vital to the national interest. It was called MAVNI. Where they come up with these, but it recruited undocumented immigrants to fight in our wars. It literally went out and sought them out and recruited them with the promise that if they served in the military, they would make an easier path to citizenship for these recruits. Well, Donald Trump reversed it. And last year, we started to discharge those same recruits that the Bush administration went out and identified and recruited, and Trump started to subjecting them to something called continuous monitoring, with ankle bracelets and biennial security checks. Earlier this year, a federal judge ordered the Pentagon to cut the crap, to stop it. And now Trump is teasing these unprecedented nationwide raids, and he's including military members. He's including them and their families. So that's why she brought that up last night. I'm telling you, when you understand the lay of the land, when you understand what's going on, this was a fabulous debate. And even if you didn't understand, I think you had a feeling about what was going on, and that's kind of okay for the first one. But here's John Hickenlooper. He did a great job too, calling it the torture of children, calling it what it is.
Well, certainly the images we've seen this week just compound the emotional impact that the world is judging us by. If you'd ever told me any time in my life that this country would sanction federal agents to take children from the arms of their parents, put them in cages, actually put them up for adoption.
Oh, my God.
In Colorado, we call that kidnapping. I would have told you, I would have told you it was unbelievable. And the first thing we have to do is recognize the humanitarian crisis on the border for what it is. We make sure that there are the sufficient facilities in place so that women and children are not separated from their families, the children are with their families. We have to make sure that ICE is completely reformed and they begin looking at their job in a humanitarian way where they're addressing the whole needs of the people that they are engaged with along the border. And we'd have to make sure ultimately that we provide not just shelter, but food, clothing, and access to medical care.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes, what Donald Trump has done to these children, and it's not just in Colorado, Governor, you're right, it is kidnapping, and it's extremely important for us to realize that. If you forcibly take a child from their parents' arms, you are kidnapping them.
Yeah, I don't think she invented that. I think Hickenlooper did, but good on her, you know. I don't think I'm ready to... I mean, Marianne Williamson, you know... What do you think of her? I'm not, you know, listen, if I need guided meditation, she's my girl. If I need my chakras aligned or I have to borrow some sage to decontaminate my, office or something like that, she's my girl. You need some CBD? She's your go-to. But every time I would listen to her, they're let the sunshine, which is probably a good thing, right? Yeah.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Yes, what Donald Trump has done to these children, and it's not just in Colorado, Governor, you're right, it is kidnapping, and it's extremely important for us to realize that. If you forcibly take a child from their parents' arms, you are kidnapping them. And if you take a lot of children and you put them in a detainment center, thus inflicting chronic trauma upon them, that's called child abuse. This is collective child abuse. And when this is crime, both of those things are a crime. And if your government does it, that doesn't make it less of a crime. These are state-sponsored crimes.
Congressman.
And what President Trump has done is not only attack these children, not only demonize these immigrants, he is attacking a basic principle of America's moral core. We open our hearts to the stranger. This is extremely important. And it's also important for all of us to remember, and I have great respect for everyone who is on this stage, but we're going to talk about what to do about health care. Well, where have you been, guys? Because if it's not just a matter of a plan, and I haven't heard anybody on this stage who has talked about American foreign policy in Latin America and how we might have, in the last few decades, contributed to something being more.
Senator Gillibrand.
What do you think of Marianne Williamson, everybody? She lit up Google. She lit up Twitter. Not for a good reason. It's, it was a reason of like, what? How did a drunk audience member end up on the stage? I saw a lot of that. Listen, maybe we need to put somebody like her in charge of health, and human services, because that is an interesting title for an agency, health and human services. I mean, she could, mandate guided meditation for all these racists. It might be a good thing. Might be a very good thing. She could teach us how to braid our armpits again. She could, get our chakras aligned. It could be good. It could be really, really, really good. But I just don't understand. See, I'm not all that familiar with her as a spiritual leader. I know that a lot of people are, and she's got an amazing base of support. She's got an amazing following because she's a spiritual guide. But why does she talk like Betty Davis in All About Eve? Why does she talk like that? Bees, they're all busy little bees, buzzing around. And why does she talk like that? She sounds like a 1940s mid-Atlantic, she's got that 1940s movie accent. I'm not really, and I'll tell you, she's all about the love, though. You got to give it to her. She's not giving up on love.
Sorry we haven't talked more tonight about how we're going to beat Donald Trump. I have an idea about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to be beaten just by insider politics talk. He's not going to be beaten just by somebody who has plans. He's going to be beaten by somebody who has an idea what this man has done. This man has reached into the psyche of the American people, and he has harnessed fear for political purposes. So, Mr. President, if you're listening, I want you to hear me, please. You have harnessed fear for political purposes, and only love can cast that out. So sir, I have a feeling you know what you're doing. I'm going to harness love for political purposes. I will meet you. Love will win.
Ms. Williamson, thank you.
Chill, baby, chill. Wow, I just, I don't know. Can you imagine if you are the governor of Montana? Can you imagine being one of the 4 people who did not qualify for these debates and thought, what? Watching her last night. Listen, I'll tell you something. She wants to harness love. Don't Google love harness. Don't. It'll give you a result that you're not expecting. It's,
Randy, I just gave you a virus on the machine here.
it's just like Santorum. Don't Google that either. Do you know what I mean? Love harness. Okay. All right then. But listen, I don't understand the accent. I don't get it. But I can't imagine being Steve Bullock, a governor, a Democratic governor of a red state, having to sit at home watching Marianne Williams. I don't know what, I mean, listen, if she turns us vegan, as let's say she makes it to Health and Human Services, which would be a good spot for her, I will protest, if she makes me give up dairy. I will protest. I'll be out on this. No more meat, no more high fructose corn syrup for you. Do you know? Now, remember when I think it was Al Gore said he liked arugula? The outcry. The American people do not want you to tell them what to eat. They do not want to be told what they can put in their mouth. Not even by, Betty Davis, who I love. But I didn't understand how that happened last night. All right, now we're going to get a lot of pushback. Okay, Paul in San Jose.
Hi. I just wanted to mention the other candidate the other night. I think it was Tim Ryan.
Yeah, he had a moment.
Yeah. And I don't think he's probably going to win, but he had the really good idea, which is, you got to really focus on the disenfranchised workers that have been left behind with the all the manufacturing jobs that have gone, off our shores. And I think those are the people that we have to, focus on.
No, that's most of us.
I know. And when I was growing up, there weren't as many professional people, and there were a lot of good-paying manufacturing jobs that didn't require 4-year degrees. Yeah. And people were living quite well and making good wages and full benefits and had their vacations. And that's the group of people, I think, that are sitting around going, whatever happened?
So those are union members.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where he was really strong, and I think that's the key to winning the election. I really believe that.
Yeah, he had some good moments. He really did. But the idea that, you should be able to, in this country, afford not to go to college and still be able to have one job and support your family with it is an idea that, I don't know, all this compromise and all this money in Washington and all this corruption and all this, the National Association of Manufacturers, totally busting unions of manufacturers. It's such a sick system that we have now, and it's taken 20, 30 years to grow it into this, and it has to be smashed to smithereens. That's why when they talk about structural change, but they do it the way Tim Ryan did, saying we got to talk to people who work with their hands, who, make things, who construct things, who build things, who do things that we need done, and that they should be able to make a living and be able to afford not to go to college. He is correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, look, the point here is, for the most part, we have fabulous candidates. I just don't understand why the front runner is the front runner.
Yeah, I agree with you, Randy.
Yeah, thank you. I like these Midwestern dudes. I got to tell you, and I think the guys from Colorado aren't bad. For president, I don't know. But remember, they're governors and they're ex-governors, and so there's a place for them in an administration, a good place. Small Business Administration, EPA, right, for Inslee, Hickenlooper, a small business.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
The reason why the Trump tax cut had to be passed is because they had to pay back their donors. You heard it. They actually said those words. So the corruption in Washington is real, and it is something that makes every one of the plans we've heard about over the last several months impossible. And I have the most comprehensive approach to do it with clean elections, publicly funded elections. So we restore the power of our democracy into the hands of the voters, not into the Koch brothers. We were talking about issues. Imagine, we're in Florida. Imagine the Parkland kids having as much power in our democracy as the Koch brothers or the NRA. Imagine their voices carrying farther and wider than anyone else because their voice is needed.
Senator Gillibrand, I'm trying to get everybody in here.
It's the first thing I'm going to do because nothing else is possible, whether it's education or healthcare or ending institutional racism.
Thank you very much.
So that's Kirsten Gillibrand, who demanded Al Franken be fired. But she did make a great point about nothing that we talk about can be accomplished if you don't get the money out of politics. Nothing that we talk about can be accomplished if you don't end the revolving door, if you don't end the lobbying, if you don't end the donations, the donors having access and a louder voice than every other American. But she was very interrupted last night. She was like shouting interruptions, right out of the gate, like at the first one. She went full de Blasio, is basically what I'm saying. But she's right about the corruption is real. She's right about the fact that we are fighting against money. If you're a Marianne Williamson person and you think love can conquer money, I hate to tell you that the character of the people that serve us are not up to that task, nor will they be. Mitch McConnell, if you gave him the choice between love and money, he would take money. If you gave Mark Meadows or any of the Freedom Crackers a tax cut, money over, love, they would take money every single time. So the issue that we really have here, the thing that keeps us from progressing, the thing that keeps us from moving into the 21st century is compromise on basic human dignity, compromise on issues of race, compromising on issues of health, compromising on issues of children and how we treat them. You cannot compromise on these things. And the only reason why some do is because of money. And even though all those people on the stage last night, even though all of them are on the side of integrity and jobs and the ability to keep a family whole and with a roof over their head and food on the table with one good paying job, the reason why it's so difficult is because of money in politics. That is the issue. That is the problem. That is where we find ourselves. And it is so corrupt. It is so totally bent against us. And there's so many of us that, when Bernie was talking last night, and I don't think people get what he meant because he's not, crystal. About, when he says, well, how will we get to Medicare for all? And he said, when tens of millions of people stand up, that's seriously what it's going to take. You know how they had a Tea Party and they were telling us Obamacare had death panels and all these lies. I mean, all of this BS, right? And scaring people. Look, unless and until tens of millions of people stand up and say, I'm so sick of paying $30,000 a year to an insurance company. And, everybody rises up. These people are not going to fear you. One of the questions, not last night, but the night before in debate night one was, what are you going to do about Mitch McConnell? And it's a legitimate question because, they brought up the fact that, Obama and Biden could not get Merrick Garland even a hearing to be a Supreme Court justice. And instead we got doofus Kavanaugh, who yesterday said, there's no role for anybody to play when it comes to taking away people's right to free speech when it comes to voting. Oh, yeah, money has to be treated like free speech, but your vote doesn't have to be treated like free speech. We can dilute your voice when we redistrict you, and there's nothing for the Supreme Court to do or say about that. I mean, these are some hypocritical people, really. Citizens United, money is speech, but your vote isn't speech. I don't know how they got. I mean, it just makes no sense when you simplify it like that. And that is exactly what they found, that the corporate moneyed interests that the way that they speak is with spending dollars on purchasing senators. But when it comes to Americans, individuals voting, it ain't one man, one vote anymore. Your speech can be diluted by, whoever your state legislature decides needs to be heard and whoever they decide doesn't need to be heard. And there's no role for them to play. And this is because we ended up with a Kavanaugh, okay, and not a Merrick Garland. And so when they brought up, what are you going to do about Mitch McConnell? They got very, very close to the solution. Very, very, very close. The solution to Mitch McConnell is to go door to door in Kentucky. Oh, yeah. Go door to door in Kentucky and talk to people about the corruption and what is keeping them from their pensions and the unions they used to enjoy. Who did that to them? Because there was some really good moments in both nights. One was Tim Ryan's moment, and another one was, the moment where, they talked about the corruption. Elizabeth Warren, she explained it really well. But if you don't want to go door to door in places like, well, especially Kentucky, because Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader, and he's proud to tell you that he will kill any legislation that goes against corporate donors' wishes. He tells you he's the Grim Reaper. He shows you he's the Grim Reaper. He cops to being the Grim Reaper. They passed a piece of legislation yesterday. $4.6 billion, but no guarantee that the money goes to the kids. No guarantee that they get a bar of soap. No guarantee that they get clean clothes. No guarantee that the babies get diapers. None whatsoever. No guarantee at all. At all. Just throwing $4.6 billion at Wackenhut, which is Geo Group. Geo Group is the old Wackenhut. You got mall cops taking care of these kids, and they're guards. They're nothing but guards. They are not social workers. They are not case managers. They are not anything. I posted in the homework today. You want to see something really, really heinous? You want to see something that'll make your hair stand on end? Okay, so here's what I did. I went to one of these, you know what Glassdoor is, right? Where people review where they work, right? Well, a lot of places on the internet, that are job placement places like Indeed.com and Glassdoor.com and all those places, people weigh in on what kind of a place it is to work at, whether it's, Walmart or it's Costco or it's, in this case, Geo Group. If you look at what the people that work there posted, it will make your skin crawl. Why? Because they cannot make a sentence. These people are illiterate fools. I mean, they cannot. You know what they like about working for Geo Group? They get a free lunch. They buy them whatever the prisoners get for lunch. That's what the guards get. The guards work 16 hours a day. They say they never see their families. They can't go home. But the crazy thing is that the intelligence level of these people that are in charge of the most vulnerable babies, toddlers, teenagers, young teenagers, tweens, separated family who have gone through massive trauma to even get here. The intellect of these people is so completely not there. I mean, they can't spell, they can't make a sentence, and they can't even write about their own, job experience. It's hair raising. I mean, it's just, this is so vile. It's so disgusting. But that's all because Geo Group got $500 million in cash from the Trump administration prior to this $4.6 billion. This is disgusting. And what? Because there was a compromise on the way we treat children. And I tell you, over 100 Democrats voted against it in the House yesterday. And those are the progressives in the House. 100 of them. And we need more of them. We need more and more and more of them. People who do not compromise on issues of race, who do not compromise on health care, who do not compromise on the way America is going to treat children, and do not compromise on the fact that we have a corrupt system, and the only thing that's going to make it any better is real structural change. And by that means changing the laws with regard to money and politics. That's where you have to start. That is the beginning of a better day. And if we can't address that, if we can't get there, every single piece of legislation is going to be a half-assed compromise. Every single thing is going to lead to another and another and another man and another woman losing her dignity.